Hello. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so 3.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
folks. I'm gonna play us our music so you vibe. Technical difficulties, we're trying. Yay! We just need
Yay!
Heather.
We did it.
Y'all see this lock though? What's she doing? What is that?
It's just
I don't know. I don't know what that's about. It's wild.
Trying to pop out.
I don't know. Anyway.
Hi. Hi,
Hello.
Diana's here.
You know what I just realized? My name is spelled wrong on everything. And I said I approved it because
It's not two M's
some
and two
places
L's.
it's not. It just says I mean it is two M's and two L's, but I even looked back at my post when we announced the fellowship and I'm like, I definitely looked at that and saw two M's. But the
So
caption
funny.
says my name spelled correctly.
Wow. Look. Oh,
I'm
I
still
will do.
me. I'm still me. Ooh, I matched the greenery.
I know, right? I'm just bragging at this point. These are our family plots in our greenhouse.
I'm coming to visit you, Lauren.
You better. I'm gonna make you a bunch of food too. You're gonna be like, just like that.
Wow, we get a tour today. Look, only a IG Live exclusive.
That's what I'm
Wow,
saying. Yeah.
this is
Yes.
beautiful.
We
What are
got a
y'all growing?
surprise. Oh,
It's the power of a greenhouse, y'all. Like I planted that cabbage not even a month ago.
wow.
That's what's wild about it. It's like all these seeds come up sooner, faster. Anyway, are we waiting on Heather?
Yes, and Heather just got in too.
Woo!
Yay. We
Yay!
got we got a surprise early delivery from one of our farms of bok choy that we're picking up today. Delicious bok
Yes.
choy.
It was,
Yes, for the fridges.
is it genteel farming?
No, Whistledown Farm?
Mm.
Yeah.
So excited. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I love. Next ID Live, we'll just do a little tour of all of our little spaces, a first tour, food
Yeah.
tour, everything. Aw. Well, welcome. I think Heather's here, so we have everybody officially. So yay. You were really going through it with some technical difficulties, but we're here. Yeah, happy spring. I'm loving the sun, all the big colors. Here we go. I'm going to turn down our music too. But yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you again for coming to our second IG Live of the season with our 2025 Community Food Systems Fellowship, which is always a mouthful. If folks don't know me yet, my name is Jay and I use they, them pronouns. I support the program. I'm now the senior coordinator for the fellowship.
Yes, you
Yes,
Oh,
are. Let's
let's
senior,
go.
go. A
senior, an elder
senior.
now. I'm an elder.
Oh.
And so to support everything to do with the fellows, it's such a gift to be able to work with them every day and learn from them, and just help try to weave community across Turtle Island for folks that are so invested
Mm.
in food justice, food sovereignty work. And so, yeah, so grateful to be in conversation today. Today we have Jammella, Lauren, and Heather, and I'll allow them to introduce themselves in just a bit. But in terms of our flow, we're just gonna do introductions. I have some questions queued up for folks that are here today. Feel free to drop in your questions. We have a moderator here that's gonna keep track of them for us. and we can get to a more open Q&A portion at the end. So that's kind of flow. We'll be here until about 1:45. And I think with that, I'll pass it to Jamela to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Jammella Anderson. My pronouns are they, them. I run Free Food for Albany, which is a food justice project in upstate New York. Albany is in the name, but we have moved far beyond Albany at this point. So shout out to our community for coming through on that. I personally do abolition work. I'm a doula. I'm a yoga teacher. I just like want to be care for the people, care for the land. Um, I often forget the intersection of like doula, yoga, and like feeding people. And Lauren, shout out to you because you always mention all your other things that you do. So I'm just here to remind myself that all of those things are intertwined. So I come from that space at all times. So and I'll pass it to Lauren.
Listen, this is like such a beautiful moment. I hope y'all can hear me okay. I'm
Yes.
coming to you live from the greenhouse. Ooh! So, like all of us really said, nourishment is key. So, although I'm in the food systems fellowship, I think a lot of what I'm doing is asking for, demanding, and reaping the benefits of nourishment, whether it's putting the seeds in the ground myself, planting the seeds in people's minds around abundance. But I was at a birth on Tuesday, so I'm just living, everything is fine. Like, I'm like, the world's great. Ah! Full on Xena princess warrior. Like, she was screaming. People were like, oh, and I was like, more, so there's just like a lot of good energy with being open. And right now I'm sitting at People's Cooperative Market. We have a 30 by 90 high tunnel, and I'm really part of a group of directors, a group of food justice leaders interested in liberation practices, not only for ourselves, but for the land and then for our community. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Heather.
Hey, sorry, I'm at the airport, so I was trying to find a quiet spot so there wasn't so much background noise. But it's a real privilege to be here with you all today. Heather Ivoy, Dawayu, Simshianu, Lakshkik, Diktegu, Ketchkana, Metlakatla, Diwalwatgu, Ada Juno, Ligi Dazanta Kahini, Diwal Zogu. I said good morning. My name is Heather Ivoy. I'm Simshan from the Eagle Clan. I come from Ketchikan and Metlakatla, which is southern southeast Alaska, but I live in Juneau, the capital. That's where I'm calling in from today on my way over to Sitka to go celebrate for a lovely potlatch that honors our relationship to the herring, which are a very important food source for us. Gonna cheers.
Wow. Thank you all so much for sharing your introductions. Like, this is just the intros, y'all. And I feel like already so much wisdom and medicine shared. And so I'm just so excited to get into our questions today. And just really such a gift to be in conversation. And so what we did is we have a couple already for the group that we co-created. But again, if folks have any other questions that they want to ask folks, please drop it in the chat. And again, we'll get to it at the end. And so one of the first questions in the theme of introductions is thinking about our origins. And so I'm curious for each of you, what are your origins and your community connections within that journey that has shaped your desire and need to like work and do this work?
You go. um, the origin story of me in this work. I would say that the origin story is for me just like my own experience with like food justice and not really understanding what that meant because I grew up with this like in a single parent household and food wasn't it was like obviously it's a necessity, but we didn't have access to good food, to healthy food. to understand that I grew up in like a not rural place, but like a suburb, which has its own other lots of other issues that go along with that. Not realizing that there are farms right down the road, not realizing that going to a market is like more accessible. There isn't really a lot of transportation. We're around a lot of rural poverty. And these are all things that I know now I didn't recognize before. And so for me, coming to this work has been sort of like reclaiming that for like little me and like what the access means. And so in turn, how do I provide a gateway to access for kids like me, or even kids that do live in an inner city who feel the same way, where there is food, but it's like not the food that is bright and green and from the earth and that actually is more scary than buying something that's in a can or in a box that sits on a shelf. So it's like really trying to unpack that and reframe where food should be coming from, how it should look, how it can nourish our bodies. And so for me, that's like, it's just like this reclamation of that. And I'm not the one doing the work. I'm getting everybody together to use the community to do the work. So I'm not doing it alone. And I think that's the other part of it is the trust component. I feel like a lot of times in my life, it has been shown, it still is every single day, that you can't necessarily trust people around you to care for you. And so it becomes, especially as like a Black femme, a Black people, we have to care and do more than other people do a lot of the time. And so this is a way for me to again kind of call back on the community to then get that trust, gain that trust, and say, hey, you're not alone in this. We all can work together. If you have it's like that stone soup, like if you've got a carrot, I've got a potato. And it's like really allowing that to be the framework of how we take care of one another.
Why
I
you gotta
love
be so yummy though? That's so yummy. What? Ugh. I think this work is actually my villain era where I'm like demanding what I
Mm,
need instead of being so passive, right? Like privilege makes you passive, right? So going to private school, food was just brought to me. You know what I mean? Cafeteria overloaded. Didn't ask any questions. Uniforms pressed. You know what I mean? And it's like once you get out in the world and you realize all of those things were taken from other people. I wasn't just given things. They were actually extracted by others for me to be in this Disneyland experience. And so now it's giving Ursula, it's giving Jafar. It's like there's a backstory here. And the story is I come from farmers. I come from liberated people. I come from people who said, no. How about no? What if we don't buy into capitalistic, white supremacist, transphobic systems? What happens then? What occurs if we believe in ourselves, lean on community, like you're saying, and then decide that we already have enough? What would that look like? And so even in the ways that the demanding feels jarring, like I don't want to get in trouble, I don't want to be hurt, I don't want to be harmed, but a lot of my origin story comes from this idea of discovering that I was already being harmed. I was being kept from one of the most sacred relationships ever, and that's with the land, where I don't have to be perfect, I don't have to be smart, I don't have to know everything. My existence is just resistance to this capitalistic system that tells me, well, if you were just a little bit straighter, ha! If you were just a little bit narrower, be smart. And then I found out it was a lie. It actually didn't mean more safety. What it meant was more extraction. And so I'm coming to this work really shifting from a place of let's compromise and into a place of what does cooperation look like? How is that resistance to what we've been taught where one person's in charge, one person has power? How does redistributing that power change us, change the way that we see ourselves in the context of our lives? I would have never said I was a farmer or rancher. You could not have convinced me. Fortune teller, great great grandma. I'd have been like, nah, that's not me. And yet here I am.
Oh my goodness, I love that. I don't know how I can follow the both of you. I think my origin story really started with my time with my grandparents, my grandmother in particular, and the fact that I am Tsimshian and Tlingit, and I live and have grown up on the ancestral homelands of the Tlingit people. And so, and I grew up hearing that our foods are our way of life. Um, I grew up, some of my fondest and earliest memories are being out in the pitch black, and my grandfather had a construction company, and so I'd wear these big giant construction hats with the big headlamp on it, and I'd go out clam and cockle digging with my grandparents at minus tides. And when I became a mom about 15 years ago, I realized that through the changing conditions of our environment, that clam and cockle digging was not going to be something that I could safely practice and pass on with my son, because we have this harmful algal bloom that causes the shellfish to have PSP, paralytic shellfish poisoning, and can be fatal and kill you. And so I think for me, I have been doing food justice, food sovereignty work since I can remember. Um, and it's just really an honor and a privilege to continue to do this work. And again, that phrase, our foods are our way of life. And so I feel like the work that I do is protecting our way of life, is protecting, us as humans, and trying to help people to be in right relationship with the land. I think our foods have so much more nutrients and are just so much more abundant when you're in right relationship with the land. Uh, yeah, I'll go ahead and leave it at that. Kenichi and Deutschen.
Wow, wow, wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I just think it's so, so beautiful how this offering of a question around origins circled back into it as reclamation for you all. Thinking about the fact that so many of you like named coming from lineages of farmers, and overall, like as Black and Indigenous people coming from lineages where folks had deepened relationships with land, stewards of land outside of capitalistic, racial capitalistic systems. And so I love that so much of what you all are centering is this idea of reclaiming that relationship within this work and trying to source alternative realities, return to origins of relationships that aren't extractive, right, and harmful to land. So I think it's so, so beautiful. And this is just a snippet, y'all, like of everything that they're doing and just like how their brilliant minds work. They have so much wisdom. And so I'm just so excited to keep on chatting today. And so for the next question that we have together, it is something that you've all actually named in your origin stories. I don't do this just for myself, right? I do this for my ancestors. I do this for my community. I don't see myself as the sole person in this work. And so we're all really grounded, I think, in this idea of being beyond ourselves. And so curious why for you it's so necessary to be part of the organizations that you are part of and part of this work within the context of local food systems.
I'm not trying to go first, but I wanted to offer up Heather if you wanted to talk. I just know you have to leave before we do. If you want to, I can go.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think, really the organizations that I work with here are oftentimes my tribal organizations. And I work with like our TANF department, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. And so I think continuing to provide access to not just healthy foods, right? Like our local foods. Our foods are our way of life. And really connecting people to the land in a different way. I think that it's literally in our DNA. There's that ancestral knowledge that we have in connections to the plants and our non-human relatives. And the organizations that I work for oftentimes are like um, community health and well-being type of organizations, and working on creating healthy connections for our youth and things of that nature. And it just feels so important, especially during these times. And people have been talking a lot about um, scarcity in our global markets and things. And one way to have for me to feel like I'm in control and to pass on to youth is being able to know what is available to us outside of our doors. Um, not telling everybody that they have to grow kale, although I love kale, but there are so many local greens, fresh greens out there. I've been out harvesting everything this past couple weeks, from fiddlehead ferns to nettles to devil's club buds, and so there's just so much richness out there. And it's kind of I like to refer to it as like a re-remembering, because it's already there in our DNA. And I'll go ahead and leave it at that. Passed off to one of you two, gonna choose.
I can try and go. Lauren's taking care of themselves. Love that. Sorry, I'm reading the question. I'm so happy that they put it in the chat. Why isn't this ready to be part of the reason? Thank you, Heather, for everything that you said. Always so beautiful. Speaking of like the land, something that just came up for me. I have been finding it to be like so interesting that we're like taught again that like farms are where food is only, even if it's like distant and far away. But like fiddleheads, I tried to harvest them this year. It was like a little too late, but it was like really exciting that I like found a whole area where they were. But I pickled magnolias a couple weeks ago. So there are different types of magnolia trees, and the ones that are in our big park in Albany, Washington Park, has these really big, beautiful pink ones, and you literally take the buds and you can like um put them in vinegar or whatever concoction you have, and it's like, and they taste like ginger, and like that's like such a cool thing to do. It's like this beautiful flower that you get to go see and eat, and I just think that's like there's just so much abundance around us. um but I think that's necessary. Like what I'm saying is that I think it's necessary because like there is just so much abundance around us, and I think that we have to like, I think we know like that re-remembering that Heather just said. It's like that re-remembering of what abundance actually means and what it looks like, but then also like sharing that with people, right? And so I think that that's what we're all doing, is like we're in the business of sharing. So like this knowledge isn't to be gate kept, it's to show you and to pass it on, and to like keep going and keep going and keep going, so that we don't have to re-remember. We just know it's just in us. We just do it. And so I think that that's what this work is, whether it be growing the food or delivering the food. Like we're all a part of this system together. And again, it's that trust. Um, and I think like I don't work for anybody other than the community, number one. But I think that it's really important to like amplify. Like right now, I'm actually in an office because I'm like traveling today, and I'm like in an office with like one of our collaborators. And like to me, that's like the same thing. That's reparations. That's like sharing. That's trust. Like I'm just using their office today. And it's like all those things are important, and to uplift and amplify whatever we're doing. Um, yeah, I got off track, but I think you get it.
No, I love that, because my meditation is often I'm telling myself to wake up, right? And this system is
Oh, was Lauren frozen?
Yeah, Lauren might be a little frozen, but I mean, the
The face that
silence
they're
is
making.
also like timed well, because yes, agree. Maybe we can try to see if we can give Lauren a couple seconds, but oh, um,
The greenhouse
but
Wi-Fi is down.
yeah. They said, Lauren, these plantitas, they need you,
They
please.
need you.
But yes, I'm loving this centering of this reminder of looking around us, looking at the ecosystem around us, and seeing like what plant relatives are already growing, what work is already being done, what is already in abundance for
Mhm.
us to build from together. I think it's just such an important reminder, especially in these moments in time, right? When it feels like it can be so easily um, to fall into just like despair and scarcity mindsets. And yeah, I mean, we're all struggling to survive. We're all struggling to survive in this work. So much funding being cut in this moment. And so I think that that medicine about um, reframing and just trying to figure out what is already there and what can we build from is so, so important. So I'm appreciating these notes.
Yay. Can I share something else while we're waiting for Lauren to reconnect?
What a
Um,
gift, please.
so we are a school contacted me in elementary school, actually an elementary school my sibling went to a few years ago, and the kids there's like kids from like every grade in the school, they join this club. So it's like on their own accord, like they just decided to go to it, and they do like a project every year, and the project that they kind of like circulated around food justice, right? Maybe they don't use that language, but that's like what they're doing, like, yeah, we fed the homeless, or we made little care packages, or so they were so excited they wanted to do a fridge. So they contacted me, and you know obviously I want to work with them to do a fridge, but I was like, we have a fridge that's actually pretty close to the school. And also, we don't necessarily want a refrigerator at a school with like younger kids. It's just like something you'd want kind of like separate. So we like talked to them, and we decided to do a pantry. And I thought it was so beautiful because the kids are so familiar with their neighborhood that the school is in, that they knew that there was a person who just down the street at a random house has a little garden outside where they grow stuff. And so the kids had been like, the kids and the teacher were like, oh, we should go talk to the person down the street and see if we can like work with them. And it's like, it's first graders up to fifth graders. And I'm just like, that's so beautiful because at such a young age, they're seeing that like the community is abundant, the community is growing, the community is there, and like it's for them. It wasn't like, oh man, I hope that they let us do this. It's like, no, they know that if they talk to that person, that they would put food that they grow in their pantry. And I just thought that was really beautiful because like that's the relationship that we want to be building with youth, because then we don't grow up now having to reclaim that, right? Again, like we can continue to reclaim it, but it's like we don't have to relearn that we can reclaim it. It's just there. I just thought that was really cute. So the kids, they're so good.
That warms my heart. Like, I think that's so beautiful to witness because I think when you and I first connected around the fellowship and just hearing your application, I think something that folks don't realize about your organization is how much, I guess, like mentorship. I don't even know. I will say stewardship. I don't when it comes to like youth and them feeling like they can co-create what's either in the fridges and volunteer, and that their wisdom is like which is so so important within these like systems that tell you that like they don't have a voice or what they say is important or like be quiet, things like that. So I think it's so like that's really where that change starts, and I think it's so beautiful that they're just like really excited and there's trust around them for them to be able to contribute in those ways, because that's actually like I wouldn't have thought to do that. I'm like, I don't know who that person is down the street. Wow.
I know. I was so scared to even go into the school to talk to the kids, and they all were just like, so just like well mannered, happy, and like, not even if they weren't well mannered, who cares? They're just like excited to be there, but like, they were just all like so engaged. And like, the first grader was the one that spoke the most. And I was like, no one was like, stop talking, or, how older kids can be sometimes with the younger kids. They all just like had their own voice and allowed each other to speak. And it was just like, please don't dim your light, and don't allow anybody else to dim your light in this, because like your voice is so, it should be the loudest above everybody else.
Look, adults in the room, take notes. We can learn from our youth mentors too. One of our other fellows
Always.
told me how they have like a mentor from every generation, like youth included. I'm like,
Ugh. Is
yes.
it Chantel?
Um, no, a previous fellow. You haven't met them yet,
Oh,
Celia, but
it's like,
um,
I feel like
but
that's something she would say.
honestly. I'm gonna go see Santel actually next week, so I'll send pics. So I think I'm not sure if. Oh, let's see. I see Lauren actually just joined, so maybe I'll let them settle in.
Oh, sweet
Perfect.
picture. Cool.
Hi, Lauren. Welcome back.
It got too hot in the greenhouse. Y'all were saying too much stuff. My Instagram was like, that's too free. No, stop.
Uh, okay. Lotus Haven, Heather has to jump off to join her flight, so we can probably wrap up in a little bit too. But
Hi,
thank y'all
Heather.
so much.
Oh, she's gone.
Yeah, I know.
It's so wonderful, honestly. Ugh.
Lauren, I don't know how you're feeling, if you still feel like really connected to what you were saying in your previous question, or we can kind of move on to our next one too. What would feel good for you?
Oh yeah. All I wanted to say about why it was me is like it's funny because when I started People's Cooperative Market, it wasn't about me. Like I was like, our community needs healing. We need a safe space for these vendors and farmers. And then not even 2 weeks ago, I was like, actually, it is about me. Like I was like, actually, I'm the Black farmer that needed a safe space. I'm
Yes.
the Black person that needed somewhere to like do this work. And I don't know, I spent so much time in predominantly white co-ops that I was just like, oh, I'll just have to like be in their space, hashtag
Hmm.
integration didn't work. You know what I mean? Like there was just this feeling of like, I'll just do it in their container. And then I was like, oh, actually People's Market is for me too. Like I am the co-op leader, developer that I wanted to step into. And it's just really funny how the universe pushes you into a place like farming and ranching where I just honestly I could have never imagined even being in this fellowship. Like you don't understand. When I got that letter, I was like, me? Like I was like, because it just changed the definition, right? It's like, oh, this is a thing that I'm doing. It's something that I'm becoming. And I really appreciate how that mindset of like meeting specifically you. I mean, you were there. Jay, you were there at the moment when we met at the airport. It was love. Like I was like, yes, like we found the people doing this work too. And so I'm glad it was me. I'm glad I was part of that.
Wow. Wow. Thank you all
Love
so
that.
much. Goodness. Heart's so full. I think you were reminded of when you were talking, Lauren, about this idea of like, I am this person that I'm trying to advocate for. Like, it is about me. I think is so, so important because that's what we center in the fellowship is that you all have this wisdom and because of your experiences, the communities you're in, your identities, that you're a lot closer to um, the problems and as well as the solutions for what we need when we're living in these like racist, capitalistic, extractive colonial systems. Like, so yeah, listen up. Hence the IG live. um, and so yeah, there's just so much here. And so I know we only have a couple more minutes. And so, oh, I did also want to say when you were saying your excitement, Lauren, I feel like that's how we felt about you. We're like, oh my gosh, they do want to join. Okay. So grateful to have them here. But let's see. So I think the last question I want to ask maybe is what are the indicators for you all that food justice, food sovereignty is prevailing?
Mm. I think I've talked about it a lot, but the fact that the kids are the ones trying to lead, or are they're not trying, they are leading to me because that trickle down, it's not a trickle down. Like it starts there. So I know I've said it many times in different ways during this live, but like when kids are approaching their teachers and their adults and their whoever their caretakers and they're asking how can I help the people who I see outside who need something, they're identifying that they might be able to do something even if they don't understand what their capacity is or what their family's capacity financially or just goods or whatever it is, that they are like identifying that they have the power to help, and like they don't know how to do it but they want to do it. and they find the path to do it. And I feel like, and they don't really stop. And I think like that type of energy, that sort of like blind faith, for lack of a better phrase, is like so important when it comes to doing sovereignty work, and like just figuring it out. Like things are going to grow, water's going to move, it's going to find the path, and just following that lead. I think that really is that big, big, big indicator. Um, just all like for everything.
My obsession with water just deepens, right? Because it does find a path. Like it's so, you just be like out there saying these things, like, it's just so important for us to remember. Like, I'm really actually in awe of how many people are coming and participating in the greenhouse, right? In particular, I have to shout out Dr. Valerie Graham because she actually wrote 40 Acres and a Broken Promise. She has a timeline of Black land loss, and she's growing food in our greenhouse. And I'm just like, am I, is this a dream? You know, like, am I honoring? She's not gone. I don't have to wait until she's like some statue. She's here right now. And I've said this many times, like, there are people doing this work right now that we could be showering with flowers in this very moment. You don't have to wait until there's a book written about them and they're rediscovered years later. This is not a Frida Kahlo situation. She could have been adored while she was alive, right? And it's like, that's what I think is prevailing. There seems to be more and more people who are willing to say, I want sovereignty over my body. I want sovereignty over my home. I want sovereignty over my community. I want sovereignty over my food. And our language is changing. I'm talking to a lot more people about solidarity, which was a word that was very like amorphous. It was just kind of like, oh, solidarity. And now it's like, no, we have some concrete things you can do to show solidarity. Redistribute your wealth. Give up that back 30 acres you ain't doing nothing with. Donate every single week. peoplesmarketbtown.com. You know what I mean? Like, you could do it today. And I think that although I'm disheartened by what's going on with our federal government, the urgency, I've talked for years about how urgent things are. I think at this moment, people are starting to understand this is an urgent need. This cannot be kicked down the road any longer. And just like with birth, I mean, that's the transformational process. Like, there has to be change. And I'm proud that our eggs are only $5 still, because at the store they're $7. I'm proud that we've kept to our integrity so that in these constrictive moments during this contraction, the water, the breath is still available to us.
So beautiful.
Wow, what a mic drop to end on.
Truly.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I feel like I also really resonate with the language changing. Like I think so. I like you mentioned a lot more food sovereignty beyond just like food justice, food apartheid naming. Just more. I think I'm also thinking about the fact that like right, like language words are also spells. So it's also so powerful for this to be named abundantly and collectively to out into the world. Because then I think that it makes it so that these become our reality too. And thinking about spell casting too, something I was thinking of as you were talking finally, Lauren and Jammella, is that we're in a space with everybody has they them pronouns right now, gender diverse people. I'll just say that I don't want to put everything out there. But something
Please
that
do.
is really talked
Please do.
about, and that I cover a lot within some like pre-colonial indigenous histories, a storytelling project I'm working on, is that um, gender diverse people were called upon in times of like apocalypse, cataclysmic change because of their ability to really operate in these like liminal spaces, to be very expansive, to be here and there and neither and like everything. Um, and so I think that wisdom also, on top of everything else, is so, so important to be centering and listening to, especially when our trans and queer relatives are being targeted by the administration. And so adding layers upon layers around voices and wisdom that is so important. So I will stop there. I wanted to make sure that folks have space for Q&A. If anyone had anything in the chat, it looks like we got one question from Sagi. Thank you so much, Sagi. It says, what aspects of your work bring you all joy?
Ooh, I think
Mm.
for me, it's the connection. Like this, I whenever I meet with like one of our fellows or like one of our leaders, when I feel like I'm like a video game. I'm like do 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 do. My life energy has gone way up. Um, I was feeling pretty bad today. So this is like, I'm like, thank you. But it's like this, it's like the way that we can come together over the literal and figurative table. I think like that
Mm.
is the part that brings me joy. Like taking the like coming into this like virtual room and taking a deep breath. I can show up as me. I'm supported. I'm with people. Like when we got to the fellowship, I was like, have I known all of you for my entire life? Like that is like it's incredible. Like I and being in a virtual room with three people who are brown and use they them pronouns are that's incredible. Like that it's like safety. And I just feel really grateful for that. That is really what brings me joy.
I know it's getting hot in here. You made it. Whew, whew. Um, there's something about coupling our lives with that of people we don't know. And
Hmm.
it's as if I knew y'all were out there. I knew that this work was happening, but I didn't realize that when I was feeling joyful, pulling up seeds or, I mean, planting seeds or pulling up food or delivering food, that like that those moments were actually shared in this bigger consciousness. Like I imagined before this call, like you were working with kids and I was working with kids at the same time. And that like put us in the same place at the same time. And some of like the loneliness that comes with being countercultural, like the joy of realizing that was a lie. America, you a lie.
Beyonce said
Like
it
the whole
best.
story. You know what I mean? The whole story is a lie. We've been resisting the whole time. Some of us have been absolutely deeply connected with each other this whole time without even getting to know each other. And even before in that first question, like sometimes I cry with joy thinking about the Black people who were planning for me to be here, planning for me to be successful, planning for me to express. And this is how I get to express. It's like, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that there's Black and brown, they, thems, cunty queers out here who are like, it was Lauren. Lauren was thinking of me. Like, I know. Like, that's because that's what it feels like. It's like, oh man. And knowing that that's not lost by like this dimension of death or life, that it just exists, you know?
Gosh, you just like touched onto something about that Alexis Pauline Gumbs talks about that I always return to, but that being in liberation movement is like time travel. Like you
Mm.
have to connect to the people that are coming after us. See, liberation, like who are we building towards? Like if we don't have this in this moment in time, but I know that for the Black and brown, indigenous, trans youth in the future, my just anybody, people in the future, like I am doing this for this freedom, and I might not see that, but I do
Hmm.
feel that in my spirit, right?
Hmm.
And so that is so much of what can nourish us, and I think that's so much of what has sustained so many of our ancestors that became for us so that we could be here and in this moment and we can have our role and build on into the future as well. So it's just such a practice. So I hope that y'all feel that in your hearts. I feel like there's moments where I feel that I'm like, I feel this energy. And so, yeah. What a powerful, powerful IG Live. Like, I'm speechless at this point. Oh my goodness. But thank you, Jammella. Thank you, Lauren. I know we went a little bit over time, so I appreciate the extra time. Thank you, everybody that joined. We'll put the recording up on Instagram, on our maybe some other places with consent of the fellows.
Can you
But yeah.
collaborate us on it? Like, can you do like I would like to post it like on the, if you could do a collaborative post if possible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Okay,
can do that for sure. Let's do
cool.
that. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much.
Thank
Take care
you.
and enjoy the rest of your
Bye.
day.
Bye.
Bye.